This is New Day Northwest. Now, here's Margaret Larson.
Hello, good morning. First up today, did you know the way you serve liquor can impact the way it's enjoyed? To test things out, we're going to do a little bourbon and whiskey tasting. I know it's tough, but somebody's got to do it. Here to show us why glassware matters is Kirby Kallas-Lewis from the OOLA Distillery. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Where is your distillery located?
We're on Capitol Hill, 14th and Union.
Do you guys do tours?
Yes, we do. We do.
Just letting people know.
Yeah. You can always contact the distillery for a tour, and we do tours every Saturday at 3 as well.
That's cool.
Count on that one.
Excellent. Let's talk about what you've brought and why the glassware matters.
Okay. Well, in tasting whiskey, it's hitting all parts of your palate, your olfactory senses as well, and the way the glass delivers the alcohol to your palate really can make a big difference. And then I have some ice out here that we can talk about, but a little bit of dilution also makes a big difference. So there's certain glassware that works for that and certain that doesn't so well. But this is a classic whiskey glass, the Glencairn glass. The fill, you don't fill it to here, you fill it to the wide point.
Right.
And high-proof spirits are very volatile. They tend to create these beautiful aromas and vapors, but this is designed to condense those vapors, so when you take your sip, you're getting...
It just chimneys up into your nose.
Yep, concentrates it so you can really assess the whiskey that way.
All right, terrific. And those are not expensive. You can order them on Amazon or find them anywhere. So they're easy to find and you'll enjoy those. Now, quick question. I've heard that with, for example, Scottish whiskey, with what we refer to as Scotch, that the makers say just a drop of water. They don't want ice in their whiskey. Is that something you believe in or don't believe in?
No, I do. Generally, I believe that people should drink whiskey the way they like it. So that's going to be overriding for coming from me. But one of the reasons these ice cubes here are so big is you're adding a little bit of that dilution, but not a lot. I think traditionally it's been like chipped ice, and that dilutes way too fast.
So this is what's cool. Like this is an ice sphere, and so it's going to give you a little bit of water, but it's not going to melt much, right?
Correct. Yeah, much more slowly.
And you even brought the ones that are shaped like skulls, which I think are kind of
yeah,
cool.
you got to have fun
that's
too.
A little skull. My son has some that are Darth Vader. He's a grown-up. I can't explain this, but he does. And so they're made in these specialty things,
silicone
specialty
molds
items that we can order.
Yep. And then here's for the big cubes. This is the one I tend to use. I just found these. I thought that'd be fun to bring something.
Those are cool.
Neat.
All right. Well, let's talk about some of the other glasses, and don't be shy to pour.
Okay. All right. So.
Ooh, look at the decanter.
Yes.
Now, is that just for looks, or does that have a functionality for taste?
That's a great question. Generally, it's not like wine where it's aerated when you pour it in. You really don't want to oxygenate your whiskey, so it's basically just for looks. In the media, we're kind of all used in movies. The cool guy always has a decanter in the corner, or the evil guy.
Or the popular guy.
Yeah, so I think we're kind of used to thinking of decanters as an elegant way to serve, and I also like it too because you can remove any preconception about what you're serving. Pappy Van Winkle, this super famous whiskey, I don't know, it would definitely make people's perceptions change just because you had the bottle sitting there. So it's a way to kind of
take that
all away, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so it goes to the wide part of the glass. Now, do we drink whiskey the way we do wine? Do we smell it first? Do we do anything, or do we just knock it back? We do. Okay, would you demonstrate?
I think really important to nose it first. That's key. Oh, it's key to so much, I mean, of the flavor too. And then it is high proof, so our palates are not used to that. So they always say, take a little sip first. That will get your palate used to that high alcohol, and then you're really going to assess it on the next sip. So, and if you're not too embarrassed, another good thing to do is almost kind of gurgle.
Oh no, I was afraid you were going to say that. We went through that with the wine too. I know, but I feel like such a dork, and I end up gargling. I don't really know how to swish, or something's wrong with me.
Yeah, my wife and son won't let me do it in public, but you would go
like so.
and then breathe out through your nose.
All
To
right.
get the, but you know.
Go
look at
ahead.
that.
Let's see you do it. He looks like a happy man, doesn't he?
Oh,
Is that pretty good
so
stuff?
good.
Let's talk about some of the other
So
glasses
good.
here and what their function is. And is there a
Yeah.
difference between what you do with bourbon and what you do with Scotch?
no, I think they can be treated.
All of those are kind of in the same.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
There's a lovely glass that I was hoping to bring, but my shipment didn't come in time, called a neat glass, which is, I think it's National Educational Aroma Trust or something like that. Technology is it.
Sure.
But it's a glass that does all of this, but it's about that much wider, and then it has a little flare at the end. And I also brought a high proof whiskey. This is 94
Ooh, that's
proof, but
good
this is
Lord.
116 proof. So it's a cask strength whiskey, and which makes it a lot more volatile. So you're going to get, if you tasted your whiskey like wine, where you put your nose in and did that, I mean, you'd be crying and coughing and sputtering. And
Your eyelashes would be
yeah,
on.
so sometimes it's nice to just maybe even just kind of waft.
Do one of those.
Yeah, but then that glass flares a little bit to allow a lot of those volatile components kind of to off-gas a little bit more.
Interesting.
Where this is concentrating.
So that's for the high proof. So what about these glasses? And then tell us about what we refer to more as a cocktail or champagne
Exactly.
glass.
Well, in drinking whiskey, I tend to think it's nice to start drinking it neat, so no ice, no dilution, and then maybe we'll put one of our little skulls in there. A large ice cube, of course, like we talked about, will dilute more slowly, and you can add that to your whiskey. And what actually, talk about opening up a whiskey, and what's really happening there is we get the flavor from oily molecules in the whiskey. And then there is the ethanol, the little string of molecules, and at high proof it clusters around those oils, and it doesn't allow us to have it reach our palate or our olfactory sense.
So a little bit of water opens that up,
Opens
right?
it up, yep. Yeah, those little string-like ethanol molecules float away, and you get the free-floating oily molecules that you can access, and your whiskey's so lovely.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
tell me about these glasses.
Well, those are classic cocktail glasses, like you said, and it's here's a great photo of beautiful garnish, and
Where are we
that-
taking this one? We'll be over here. There we go.
so that was made in house. We have a cocktail guru that works for us, John Fowles, and then Nicole Candy took that beautiful photo. But
That is lovely. What is
it's-
that, by the way?
the rosette or the garnish in there is actually an orange peel, which goes
cool.
really well with a Manhattan.
Yeah. how
So
cool is
that's Manhattans you'll often find in an up glass.
And does that change the way you smell or taste it?
It does. It's not going to concentrate those volatile components as much, but for a cocktail, it works perfectly.
So let's talk about how to order it. You mentioned neat, which is just, it's plain, it's in a glass. Is
Mm-hmm.
it cold? Is it room temperature? What is it when you order it neat?
It's room temperature. That's why some people will drink it neat all winter long, but in the summer, they'll maybe say with a side glass, one rock, and then they can enjoy it, and then they can cool it down a little bit.
Okay. So what is it if you ask for it up?
Up just means, again, yeah, without ice.
So those are the same thing. And do you tell people that you want it cold or you don't want it cold when you order, or is that up to the bartender?
Yeah, that's usually not a way that you would order it. You would get that glass with a rock on the side to adjust the temperature of
However
it.
you like. What do you think about the glasses that have the little side compartment where you can freeze the ice in it so that it will chill
Yeah.
the liquor, but it doesn't actually contact the liquor?
I've never used one, but it's totally fun. I think all these little new things are just a kick. So, like an alternative as well to ice, if you don't want, because that compartment is completely separate, so it doesn't touch your alcohol. These little stones are porcelain discs.
That's called a stone?
Yes.
And what
yep.
do we do with this?
That you keep in your freezer. They come in these cool little cases.
Right.
And then you take it out of your freezer, and then carefully, you don't want to drop it because they're heavy.
Right. It feels
but
like a
this-
little hockey puck, just for you to know at home.
And then that'll sit in your whiskey, and it'll cool the whiskey without diluting it in any way.
How about that?
Because
so much I did not know.
So much is personal preference.
Right.
I mean, some people, they have their brand of whiskey and they love it exactly like it is out of the bottle. So a drop of water would be sacrilege to them.
Now, do you suggest tasting around? And the reason that I ask this is that we went to Scotland this summer, and I tasted some things that I would never have bought. Because they're very peaty and smoky and peppery, and I thought I won't like that, and I loved it. So is it a good idea to just maybe sample a little?
Oh, absolutely, yes. I mean, I'm so glad you brought that up, because our palates change over time, and I think we educate ourselves. So maybe you have a bourbon that you really like, and unbeknownst to you, there's a smoky note in that bourbon, and then all of a sudden you're not so afraid of some of those Highland lightly peated scotches. So it's
Which
good
are
to
delicious,
keep trying.
and I'm sure quite good for you as well. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much. We
Oh, my
appreciate
pleasure.
it. We will put up the address for OOLA so everybody knows where to come, and
Okay.
it's 3 p.m. on Saturday.
Thanks.
Up next, how one author is taking his search for Sasquatch to your neighborhood. We'll be right back.